Hi guys, I can't always tell if a journalist or political commentator says a horrible thing because it's a talking point they receive from their boss, or because they actually believe it themselves. Case in point, Mike Graham, aka the concrete farmer. So we're hearing a lot about the two-child benefit cap connected to universal credit, and the whole rhetoric around it reminds me of the discourse from the 1990s and the right-wing press's demonisation of single mothers. Now Mike here believes that the wrong people are having kids. What could he possibly mean?
I don't wish to make this sound wrong, but it's going to sound wrong however I say it. Sometimes it's sometimes it's the wrong people that have so many children, you know, and maybe because the benefit cap is there, that's not been happening quite so much, because, you know, we've all seen the sort of the estate family where you've got a woman who's got 7 different kids and 7 different dads. Inevitably, none of them are going to do terribly well at school. Inevitably, they're going to join that kind of underclass of society, and we've suffered from that as well.
Well,
okay, I don't know, once again, if he's saying this because he believes it or because he works for the Murdoch press. But either way, what is the goal here? The goal, as I keep saying, is about pushing a smaller government, cutting benefits, cutting the welfare state, cutting the size of government, because they want fewer taxes, because who benefits from fewer taxes or lower taxation? The wealthy, the richest people in society. This is what Talk TV and GB News are there for, apart from pushing Farage and his politics. It's there to push the idea that most people on welfare are scroungers. They're gaming the system. They're abusing the system. They should be working. They're lazy. They sit on their arse all day watching game shows or morning TV. That's what they do. They're not interested in working. They're lazy. And they need to be forced out of those positions and into jobs. Doesn't matter what the job is. Doesn't matter whether they can do it. Doesn't matter if it's actually feasible. They just have to be forced off the sofa and into a workplace. That's their goal, because they hate the idea of paying taxes. And they certainly hate the idea, the rich I'm talking about, of their taxes going to fund people's, what they would describe as lifestyles, when in reality it's their means to live. Now, this whole thing is so frustrating because there's so much misinformation. First of all, we're not talking about child benefit. We're talking about a two-child benefit cap when it comes to universal credit. We're also hearing about how, well, this is encouraging people to have children. No, this is a support for children who are already in existence. Taking it away will not stop people from having more kids. It's just going to punish the most vulnerable in society. Because it's a universal credit payment. It's related to universal credit. Child benefit is pretty much for everyone. But when it comes to universal credit, we're talking about the poorest in society. Rich people don't rely on UC, on universal credit. So taking this away is just to punish the most vulnerable and the poorest in society. That's all it's about. The whole rhetoric about it, oh, we need to take it away because people are having too many kids. But it's not the case. There's no evidence to back up the case that people are having kids because of this benefit related to universal credit. There's no evidence whatsoever. But that's not the goal here. The goal is to punish people because they're poor, to take away support for them that could be funneled into the pockets of the richest in society. I keep saying the rich hate paying taxes, and they certainly hate those taxes going to fund the poorest in society. They look around and they say, well, I don't need public services, so why the heck am I paying for them? I don't need the NHS, so why am I paying for it? I don't need universal credit. Why am I paying for it? And they'll be happy to see people like Mike Graham and Tory politicians and Reform talk about how, well, there are all these lazy people. We need to punish them. We need to use the stick more than the carrot. All they're doing is sitting on their arse all day. They should be working, because our taxes are going to fund their lifestyles. That's the rhetoric. It doesn't make any sense, but it's extremely powerful. And we need to push back on it. These supports are there for people, the most vulnerable in society. Taking them away will drive many people into destitution. Charities have already said the two-child benefit cap removal will force over 100,000 children into poverty. How can anyone be supportive of that?